I won't actually fish places this time of the year unless I already know the fish are there. My electronics, I've got so much confidence in them that if I don't see fish there, I'm not gonna fish. It's just the time of year when they really group up good. They're moved out there and they're deep enough that you can idle across them, see where they're sitting, and be able to throw a bait back in there and catch them. There we go. They were hitting it. Everything else finally got one to eat it. But these fish here, man, they've been pressured a good bit. You've got to really try to trigger them into biting. Once you get a group of them fired up like that, it's good to hurry and get back in there. Let's get you up here, buddy. There we go. It's a nice chunk to start with. Man, it's early summer, and those fish are out here offshore starting to group up and feeding. Cranking is by far my favorite way to catch them. You can just cover so much water and really trigger those fish into bite, and it is a lot of fun catching them grouped up offshore middle of the summer. That's a load of them right there. Wow. That's not a place I've ever caught them before, and I am about to wreck them. I would have to say my favorite aspect of fishing offshore in the summertime is the fact that I know when I cut the engine off and I walk up on the front deck and I drop that trolling motor in the water, where I'm about to put a bait, I already know there's bass there. So you can see these black shadows right over here. Those are actually the bass. What you've got is a transition from soft bottom to hard bottom where it comes up on a little point, and those bass are hanging right off of that transition on the hard bottom. I've got the screen froze just to be able to really focus in on them, but you can see just how many. You can pick out the white dots and the shadows behind them. Dude, that is what you dream about finding right there, no question about it. So these fish, where they're sitting out here off the end of this break, they were in like 10 or 11 feet of water. So my first thing to throw is going to be a DT10. That'll run, I can get 12 feet out of that on a long cast. And I want to ease up to them, get where I can barely pick them out on 360, get about 60 feet away from them, and then make a very targeted, very precise cast. Here we go, let's see what happens. I've actually not quite got to them yet, I'm just a little eager. Got one. Just a nice little bass right there. Nothing wrong with him. I'm gonna get this fish in, I'm gonna get him unhooked. I'm gonna get right back in there because there are so many bass down there. I know there's gotta be something a little bit bigger than that, but finding a fresh school of them, dude, is truly as exciting of any kind of fishing. To see a, you know, an 8 or 10 pounder on a bed is really awesome, but when you idle across a place like that and see them on side imaging and you know what's about to happen, that's just so hard to beat. Finding schools of bass in the summer is what is so much fun to me, and using your electronics to do that just makes it, you know, it makes it really rewarding. It's an investment in time, it really is, that you're not actually fishing. You know, you're just out there idling around, seemingly being unproductive, but it's not, because once you see something like that, dude, it can make for a day that you'll never ever forget. And this is a place I've not ever caught them, right here on Douglas Lake, a lake I live on. I mean, I have fished so very much, but I've never caught them right here before. This is now 3 in a row. I'm gonna come right over everybody's head just because he's moving over here. They are a lot of fun to catch. There's some big ones in there too, as big as some of those shadows were. You can tell you've got a good color they're liking when they're eating it like that. It's really important when you get a school like that going that you keep them fired up. It's extremely important to just fire back in there every single time, just as quick as you possibly can. Get that fish in, admire it, get him back in the water, throw right back in there and try to get that next one going. It was just about that little bit of time invested in idling and graphing to find this school of them. There's 5 in a row. Vast majority of the bites came probably within a 5-foot section, just making the same repetitive cast. It's really important to make a precise cast. Try to get your bait in the same spot every single time, because when that school is down there, imagine them being in a frenzy. If they see their buddies over here, these fish may be a little bit further away, but they're all gonna move to where all that action is. So making your bait come through the same exact place is really, really important. Man, that is just, I don't know any better way to put it other than that investment in your electronics in that time. To find a fresh school of fish like that, it just pays off. That big shad color DT10 is just a confidence bait of mine. It's a natural color, it's a very muted shad color, and those fish just absolutely eat it up. The main rod and reel combo, that's a Bass Pro cranking stick, 7-foot 6-inch medium heavy action rod, a Johnny Morris Platinum reel, 6/8 to 1 gear ratio, and 12-pound XPS fluorocarbon line. I like fluorocarbon for crankbait fishing, and then that's a Rapala DT10 and big shad. That is my all-time favorite crankbait setup. It would sink this boat if you piled all the fish in here that I've caught on a Bass Pro cranking stick. But they will eventually slow down, and I'll have to switch up. I'll run through my whole gamut of baits there. But as long as they're going to bite a crankbait, I'm going to keep trying to catch them on it. This is the kind of day anglers dream about. We are deep into a school of offshore summertime crankbait eating bass. Yep, best one yet. Really good one. I think that last one was at 9 in a row. Man, that's the quality of fish that I was looking for right there. I've been catching just a bunch of run-of-the-mill kind of little keepers. And sometimes those big girls will just lay back and let those little ones do a lot of the work early on. Sometimes the biggest fish you're going to catch on your first cast, but it seems like I've seen it more and more where I'll weed through little ones and then all of a sudden catch the biggest one. That's the way it was down in Texas for me with that stage 3 win on the Bass Pro Tour. I caught a bunch of nice fish on a DT10, but then all of a sudden caught a 9.6. Now that's not quite a 9.6, but that's still the very best one I've caught out here yet. The biggest thing that I have at my disposal, and we all do as anglers, to help find places that are offshore is our mapping. That's how you find these type of places. A lot of this stuff is subtle. It doesn't take a big river channel break, to hold these fish. Anywhere you see just a little bit of change in the bottom, anything that is a place where those fish can get set up on, they'll use. You just have to take your time looking for those areas on your mapping, then go side image them, go down image them to find the ones that's got the bait on them, and then have the fish on them on that particular day. What this particular spot is, a very small, a very flat ditch that comes out. There's a high spot upriver from it just a little bit, a really small tapering point that tapers down into just a little ditch there before it tapers up onto the next one. It extends back beyond that, and up here towards kind of the direction I'm casting are some willow trees and some stuff up on the bank. These are fish that have spawned up here on this shoreline and are now just grouping back up. That's where they're set up feeding on shad as they move up and down through here with the current. So I've got a line up here. I've got my waypoint that I marked on side imaging when I marked this school of fish, and I'm throwing out beyond that waypoint. I engage the reel. I go to turning that reel handle pretty quick. I want that bait to get to the bottom quickly, and most of the time, about the time it hits the bottom the first time is where those fish have been hitting it. I just had one hit it there. Yep, just got one. But I'm just trying to get that bait out past those fish, and as soon as it hits the bottom, dude, it's instantly getting bit. And I want to be bringing that bait. I want to create a reaction out of those fish. I was not expecting a smallmouth right here at all. There's great smallmouth in Douglas, but man, I was not prepared for that at all. Dude, that is a chunk. Come up here, buddy. Oh yeah. Dude, that is a nice smallmouth right there. I can roll it around here. Look at that. Let's see if I can get a hold of her without her getting me. There we go. Well, she creamed that DT10 right into the bottom. Nice one, dude. I was not expecting a smallmouth. I catch them up here on occasion, but when you do, that's the size they are. That is a beautiful fish. I love pre-spawn. I love when the bass are actually spawning, but man, you can't tell me that catching on every single throw, using your electronics, and then coming up on a fresh school of them like this that are ultra competitive with one another. That's probably gotta be my favorite way to catch bass. Summertime, offshore cranking. Dude, I know I'm gonna catch one before I ever stop the boat. That's the way it was on this place, and that's what makes it so special and so fun. When it comes together, it makes the kind of days that you never ever forget. Tournament winning kind of days happen like this. Yep, got another one.